As I said in my previous video, that it would be a good segue into the 4 videos I have planned for this month. Today, we are looking at Superman from the Superman Ghosts of Krypton Page Puncher wave. Before I dive into the figure review, I do want to start off with talking about the comic books that they include, this entire wave. This wave course corrects one thing that I really disliked about the previous Page Puncher waves, and that was the fact that the comic books were all the same story. None of them were different. It was just like either the same cover, or in the cases of the Aquaman Page Puncher wave and the Fighting the Frozen Page Puncher wave, they were actually different variant covers. So that is something that I was like, okay, they have a different cover, but the story is the same. It's not like, 1 of 4 issues. Like you start off with issue 1 and finish with issue 4 of like a little short, consistent storyline. But after 4 waves of Page Punchers, Mcfarlane finally corrected that approach. So, you have your 4 different covers, right? You start off with the Superman, and then you got, General Zod right here. Really good artwork, by the way. I really love this cover. Then you got a cover of Val Zod, the Earth 2 Superman, right? Just because he's part of the story. And then Brainiac. A very interesting looking Brainiac that we will look at when we get to that video. But all of these issues are different. Like they're not different stories. They are continuation from issue 1. So you start off with Superman, then you continue with the General Zod figure, so you can continue the story with issue 2, issue 3, issue 4. You get the whole gist, right? So I really love that change because that was something that this particular Page Puncher style needed, especially since these are technically like some sort of original design component, that these are not based on any existing source material. So yeah, very happy with this change. And just to show a little bit of, issue number 1, and you got Superman doing Superman things. Then he encounters like a ghost of Zod warning him about something, and then the aberration fades away. He saves an airplane that's about to crash, right? So basically this first issue, you see Superman being Superman, and it's really cool to see him just like do a bunch of things, and then eventually he kind of has to find out like what the heck is going on, like why am I seeing the ghost of Zod or something, and this is where the figure fell. This is where he has to craft the armor that you see on the figure, and then he has to take this armor with him into the Phantom Zone. So that is kind of like the whole setup of like the first issue, I guess. And also I might as well show this at the end too. He goes in and he discovers a monster. He's like, wow. Yeah. So he needs the armor to protect himself. And the figure fell over, of course. This figure has trouble standing because these freaking boots down here are really bad. But it just depends on how you pose them. And I don't have them posed well right now. So, okay. So that was the comic book. I'm going to put them to the side real quickly. But he also comes with, of course, your usual, card sort of thing. And it's weird because this one is all zoomed in, because the other 3 is just a reprint of like the cover art on the card. So this one is the same thing, but they zoomed it all the way into his face. Yeah. Okay, his real name is Kal-El, and it says, haunted by the vision of a spectral General Zod seeking salvation, Superman embarks on a perilous journey into the Phantom Zone, where Kal-El discovers an army of deadly Brainiac drones. Superman soon learns that Val Zod, the Superman of Earth 2, has also been lured to the zone by ghosts from the past. Although powerless in the Phantom Zone, the Men of Steel, donning protective Kryptonian armored suits, vow to vanquish Brainiac and the menacing mechanical army. So, that's basically the plot of the story, right? Really simple plot. Brainiac is the one who's behind everything. And yeah. Okay, let's finally get into the review of this figure. Because this is where everything is going to be a hassle to do once we get into the, the good parts about this figure that makes it fun to have on your shelf. As you can see on my copy, this is not what it looks like originally. This is all painted. I painted this with the metallic marker. I added this to the figure because I felt like the plain blue was very boring to look at and it hide a lot of the sculpting on this, the suit. So I added that in just to give it more of like a faded look in some areas and just overall, so my attention to the figure doesn't, stray away from like, oh, it's just plain blue and it's very boring to look at because there was really no paint. And to show what I mean, I didn't paint the back part completely, but you can see what I'm talking about, right? Like there's some areas that I didn't paint, and you can see how like flat that paint is when there's no like metallic on it. So if you can customize this figure, and if you want to customize it, I say customize the base body first, because the base body is very plain and it really does need some work to it, right? I also did the boots as well. Just everything that I could do. I didn't do the back. I didn't finish the back, but I did do a little bit of it, as you can see right there. I do hope to go back and do more, but where it's at right now, it's still good enough for a very simple custom work, as I would like to call it. It's not anything fancy as some of the, hardcore customizers can do. This was like more of a trial run for me to test those markers to see if I like them or not. And I like the way this came out. So very happy with that. And not only that, his face, right? I apologize that I can't show his face because one of the bad things about this figure, I don't know why it's just this one. Maybe it's my copy. It could be the same for every copy. This head sculpt, you would think that they would make it easy to pop off because he has this face mask on. Because usually some of their other figures they made for DC Multiverse that came with like an alternate head, they are able to pop their heads off easily to swap between one or the other. But in this case, it's not. I have to heat it up with a hairdryer every single time if I want to remove that mask. And it is annoying. I do not want to risk taking the head off when it's like this because I'm scared I might break something. So that is why we are keeping it on for this video, because it also goes good with the armor, and you'll see what it looks like entirely with the armor soon enough. And the armor pieces, I do want to show one by one as well, because, the armor pieces have their own details to them. So let's start with the, one of the leg piece armor. Again, this is all red, but as you can see, there's some silver on it because I painted that silver on there to give it that faded look. I did not like the whole plain red color on this because it just felt so empty. It felt like it was just not really clean. It just felt like really lazy. Like they didn't really put much like effort into painting it. They just painted it like a flat color and then called it a day. So if you do have metallic markers, you could do something like this, or I think the other one looks better. Yeah, or something like this one on the other side. I actually like the way this one came out, but more. It's like it actually gives it more of that faded look. So you could add more to it just to make it pop. So there's that. And then he has, oh no. What the heck is this? Oh, I apologize for that. Oh no, this fell off. That's not normal. Did it break? No. When I pop this off, I'm gonna see if I can fix that. I think I can. I don't think it broke. Oh, here we go. We just have to. Here it is. I think. Let me see. Let me see. Oh no. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, we're good. We're good. We're good. Oh, we're good. Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm glad that happened because now I can show that I guess that can happen too. Be careful. You could probably pop a peg off. This clips onto his arms. So, and the plastic is a little bit very you know, it's very stiff. But yeah, this is one of his gauntlets that he has. Really cool details on it. Again, I don't really know why you need all this crazy stuff, but he is fighting that monster thing at the end that I showed. Oh, NFL. So maybe he needed crazy pieces that he had to scalp together, or salvage together, I mean, to basically protect himself. But I did paint these a little bit with silver as well, and I don't really know if I used too much. I didn't really use too much, so it doesn't really shine. But again, really cool accessory. And of course, we have the waist piece, right? Really cool. Very simple, very flimsy. This one is like the flimsiest one, which is easy to put on, but the other ones are a pain. Well, actually, no, this is also easy to put on too. But again, you got like these details, right? Like you got the shoulder thing. This kind of looks like the monster at the end of the issue that we showed the art of right there earlier. So yeah, really cool. This doesn't clip on. This actually just goes over him. So the other ones clip on. And before I show that, let's talk about the articulation, because the articulation right now, without the armor pieces, you can see the good and the bad. So the good, I guess, is it can still articulate and pose how you want it to be in some angles, but there are limitations to certain things. So if you want him to look like he's flying while looking up, you really have to take this off, unfortunately, because on the back here, that thing gets in the way, right? So if you don't remove this, his head can't really look up too much, right? It gets in the way, so you have to take the face mask off if you don't like it. His head, unfortunately, can't rotate all the way around because it's one of those instances where his how do I talk about it? The underside of the head was not carved out with enough room to compensate with the neck, so it's kind of stiff like this. But I think it can still rotate a good amount. It's just, you don't want to force that, right? So he can look down a little bit, as you can see, not a whole lot. But that's basically it for the head. And I guess he could, he could tilt side to side too. So good enough. I don't know. I wish I can show the, this off, but I just don't want to risk pulling the head off right now to show that. So, if you have this figure, then you know what I'm talking about. I think it's better without the mask. The head movement, it probably is more improved. So, as for his arms, the butterfly joints on my figure, on this side is quite stiff, but on this side is quite loose. So he can, shred everything out. He can rotate all the way back. He got the usual double jointed, right? All the stuff we always see in every one of these figures, right? Yeah. So there's that. And then his rotation here on the upper diaphragm, really good, by the way. Sometimes they're really bad, but this one is really good, so I do like that. And also, this is a brand new sculpt too, by the way. Like this is not a reuse of anything, not to my knowledge, because I've never seen this, sculpt before. I think this is completely original. Is it a good sculpt? I think it is. I think it's a good sculpt for, I guess, anything that could work with this. But for Superman, it is very tall. So, and I will show what I mean after all of that, because the comparison part will be last. As for his waist, that can also rotate really good. You can lean it forward, so you can give him that little, like he's crunching forward. So that's pretty good. Better than some figures, right? As for his legs, you can spread out a little bit like that, that's not too bad. Kicking outward, okay, decent. Not the, this is still better compared to a certain other figure. Let's pull him in there just for fun. Yeah, come on, like I don't understand. I'm still kind of mad about that, because the fact that, you know, you got this guy, you can kick all the way out, and it's like somehow that one can't. So it's like, oh, Mcfarlane, why do you do this to me? And also double jointed, of course, by the legs down here, right? So that works. It's stiff in some places, so you know you want to just heat that up if you don't want to break it like that. That sounds really bad, but it didn't break. Don't worry. His feet and all that can move, and then he has toe articulation. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, simple, very simple articulation as usual with these Mcfarlane Multiverse figures. Of course, last but not least, the thigh swivels up here, the die cuts, or not die cuts, the upper thigh swivel. It does exist on this figure. Amazing. Because some figures don't even have that, or they technically do if you heat them up. But, you know, the fact that these ones are working, like, without even having to be heat up is a good thing. Okay. With all that said, let's show him next to a certain figure to show height comparisons of what he looks like without the armor, and then we'll show him with the armor. So we'll take Steel, for example, in here. Let's just... He's taller than Steel, right? Actually zoom... No, not zoom in. There we go. So he's taller than Steel by a lot. As you can see, he is way too tall. I don't think he's supposed to be that tall, but there's that. Let me see. Let me grab a Batman figure over. And then, if we want to compare him to a Batman, let's take first appearance Batman. That's way too tall. Like, that is completely off. Superman is technically, like, only 6'3", and if I remember correctly, Batman's, like, 6'2". So it's, like, supposed to be, like, an inch taller. Not even, like, it's not supposed to be this tall. But this is the one big problem with Mcfarlane's Multiverse line, is the fact that scaling is really freaking random, okay? And in a recent interview, if I remember correctly, this man said that he didn't care about scaling. So, Todd, when you make figures based off comic book characters, you have to care about scaling. This is just how it is, unfortunately. If you want people to buy your figures and they want to build their shelves out with their favorite superhero characters, scaling is important. So, can you make this work? I guess, if you want to, but, like, the fact that Superman is, like, this tall compared to Batman is, like, really weird. I mean, it just doesn't really feel right to me. Like, it's still not the right scale. But if you can make it work, then it can work. So, there's that. And I think that's all I'm going to do for the comparison thing there. Actually, no, let's do one more. After we put the armor on. So, let's put all the armor on. Let's show how that works. So, as you can see, let me zoom into each one of these pieces. The beautiful thing about the armor is that you can peg it on. So, there's a peg right here that goes into a hole underneath, and it clips on, and it stays. So, this leg, for example, let me remember which is which. Okay, cool. So, let's start with this one. So, what you do is you basically untab that, and you kind of have to, like, force it in, because the plastic is kind of thick. But yeah, it slides in like that. And what you do, you find the right spot, and then you hold it, and it clips on. So that's how you do the leg armor. Very, very simple. Nothing too complicated. You do the same thing on this side. You gotta just fight with it. You gotta fight with it, because the most annoying thing about some of these pieces is that they're quite thick, and they're thick so they can stay together easily, so it doesn't fall off or slide off. And again, you find the right right? You find where the port goes into, and it clips on. And that is how you put the leg armor on. So, really cool. And then for the arms, all you gotta do is slide them in. And again, it's the same thing. There is a clip that they clip onto, but because... Oh. I think this broke. You know what? I'm going to fix this off camera. That's not a good thing. But, like, after the recording. But let me just show what it's supposed to do. So, technically, there's, like, this, you know, over here. You see that, right? The fist goes in. And once it goes in, it's supposed to peg on. And the arm gauntlets are annoying to peg on, unfortunately, because they just don't want to work sometimes. So that's another problem. But like this one, once you do this, you find the port where it's supposed to go into, and you're supposed to clip it on. And it's supposed to stay. So there's that. And then for the other one, as you can see, mine popped off. That's the first time I've seen that happen. Let me see if I can, like, just... I'm just going to slide this in. And then, yeah, just focus on that after. I'll fix it after. I got to at least show what it looks like with the armor pieces on the... There we go. Okay. Let's leave it at that. So it just slides in, and then you port the thing together so it stays in place. That's the whole point of what this piece is for. I don't know if it broke or the glue came off. I need to find out what the problem is. And then for his waist piece, what you need to do now is, as you can see right there, that goes where his belt is. So you see how it connects there. You press it in place. And on the back, there are these little ports right here that can clip on with the belt. And that's how that goes in. Very simple, right? It goes right there. And then last but not least, the armor, this torso piece, all you got to do is just slide it on simply like that. And you have your armored Superman. And now, let me see if he can stand. Please don't fall over. There you go. You got your armored Superman. Very cool. Very nice. And I don't know. I like the way it came out. It's really weird. Like, it's not something you picture Superman to ever wear. But again, he's fighting something, I guess, stronger than him. So in this case, he needs the armor. So yeah, there's that. And the last person that we got to compare him to, because we will make a video on him very soon. You know, he's the third one in the wave. He also has armor. Well, not completely have armor. If you know that this is the platinum version, then he has armor. If you don't have the platinum version, he has no accessories at all. And I think that's just greedy. I feel like this should have been the regular release right here for this Val-Zod. But of course, Mcfarlane being Mcfarlane these days, it's just always... I don't even know what to say anymore. I made a short, you know, talking about my complaints with the whole platinum stuff lately. Like, it's just, you know, kind of getting out of hand. And I feel like this is a good example of that, where how come this nice original sculpted piece of armor that's kind of different from this one couldn't have been a regular release? Instead, they made this a platinum. Why? I don't know. But there it is, side to side with both the armors together. If you have the platinum one with the regulars, with the Superman, you are good. You will have a very cool display with these two on the shelf. But if you have never found the platinum one, I do wish you luck that you do find this platinum version, because it has really cool armor pieces that I just don't understand the logic to why they did not release it as a... Yeah, it's what it is. It's just what it is. Okay, if you found this review informative, give it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel to keep updated with the other reviews and other stuff I am doing on my channel, you can subscribe as well. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.